Hey there, my friend. I truly appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Your support means everything. And if you decide to hit that subscribe button, it'll absolutely make my day. Now let's get started. I want a hall pass, she said, standing in our kitchen as casually as if she were asking for a cup of coffee. Like it wasn't a request to betray a marriage, but a simple favor. No tears followed, no explosive fight, no dramatic unraveling. Just a regular Tuesday, wrapped in quiet devastation. She told me she felt numb, and that maybe being with another man would stir something in her again. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I gave her the yes she wanted, but I made sure the cost would follow her forever. It all started with 10 words. I want a hall pass. That sentence blew open the seams of nearly 2 decades of loyal partnership. When Caroline said it, she was completely steady. Not a flicker of emotion in her tone. No resentment, no trace of guilt, not even nervousness. She was drying her hands on a dish towel, like she was about to head out to grab milk, as if I'd just nod and say, "Sure thing." I can still recall the pale tile under my feet, the faint lemon scent of the cleaner she liked, the soft buzz of the overhead light. I remember her face, too, still striking at 41, though now shadowed by a tiredness that hadn't been there in years past. We were standing in the kitchen we'd remodeled together, in the home we'd lived in for over a decade, a place we built, piece by careful piece. I had installed the floors myself. I'd erected the swing set out back for our son. And now, out of nowhere, she wanted a pause. Not from work, from us. She murmured it like she was revealing something sacred. Just one night, she said, to feel alive again. I looked at her dazed, like she'd spoken in another language. Caroline, my wife, my high school sweetheart, the woman I once drove coast to coast with in a beat-up old Honda. Is there someone? I asked. She faltered, just for a moment, and in that hesitation I got my answer. Sometimes silence is louder than anything. Eventually, she spoke. A guy from the gym. His name's Brandon. He makes me feel alive. Alive, I thought. As opposed to what? The life we'd built together? Our traditions, our son, our years of shared laughter? Did all of that make her feel dead? I didn't shout or slam a door. I simply said, I need some time to process. She exhaled, almost with relief, like she'd gotten what she came for. She kissed the top of my head, like we were still okay, and went upstairs to check on Jason, our 13-year-old son. That night I stayed awake beside her, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, and it hit me with brutal clarity. This wasn't just about one night. She was rehearsing for a life where I wasn't in the picture. 3 days passed. Life continued like it always had. Morning coffee, lunch boxes, laundry, bills, dinners. Then she asked again, So, have you decided? I nodded. I want you to be happy, I told her. She lit up like I'd handed her something precious. But she didn't know I'd already made a call. To Richard Kane, a private investigator, ex-military, neatly trimmed silver mustache, eyes that didn't blink. Are you sure you want everything? He asked. Yes, I said, all of it. So that Saturday he followed her. She wore a dress I didn't recognize, perfume I hadn't smelled in years. And on Monday morning, the report landed in my hands. Photos, receipts, room number 611. Brandon, half-dressed, hand on her waist. Her laughing pressed close to him. A long kiss before parting the next morning. But what shattered me wasn't the physical betrayal. It was her expression. She looked radiant. I didn't confront her. Instead, I made breakfast. Eggs, toast, her favorite dark roast blend. She said she hadn't slept that well in weeks. That night, she curled into me and whispered, I feel like myself again. I kissed her hair and said, I'm happy for you. Then I wrapped my arms around her and began crafting my exit. No anger, no tantrums, just quiet, precise resolve. While she hummed a tune in the kitchen, I began laying bricks, one cold, deliberate smile at a time. I cooked for her while researching lawyers, clapped at Jason's baseball game as I shifted our finances behind the scenes. Each affectionate gesture, a calculated move. She'd already lost me. She just didn't know it yet. Because I wasn't angry. Anger is loud, anger fades. What I felt was deeper, it would linger. That Thursday night, she touched me for the first time in months. Afterwards, lying in my arms, she said, "See, I told you we'd get through this." I held her like a loaded weapon. She drifted off. I stayed up, silently cataloging every item in the house. What was mine, what was hers, what I'd leave behind. Friday morning, I made a call to a locksmith. Young guy, name tag read Ethan. "I want every lock replaced, front and back," I said. He chuckled. "Moving out or locking someone out?" "Neither," I replied. "Just closing a door I should have shut a long time ago." He didn't press for details. By midday, I had 3 new keys and a house that finally felt like mine again. Then came the sorting. No screaming, no shredded clothes. I didn't break a single thing. I folded her clothes carefully, exactly the way she liked. Perfume bottles, skincare, shoes, even the lingerie she hadn't worn for me in years, all packed neatly. 13 large black bags, lined up on the porch like gifts for a stranger, or perhaps for the version of her that once truly loved me. By late afternoon, the air smelled like lemon oil and furniture polish. Not her. It smelled like peace. Next, I rang the bank. Terry, the branch manager, remembered us from our last loan refi. "I need to separate everything," I said, calm and professional. 40 minutes later, it was done. Joint savings, split. College account, relocated. Direct deposits, rerouted. By 4 p.m., her access to me, to us, was cut off. At 5:45, her calls began. Once, twice, 3 times. Then the texts. "Caroline, my card just got declined. Is something going on with the account? Nathan, this isn't funny. Call me." I didn't respond. Sometimes silence says more than any outburst ever could. At 6:20, her car pulled into the driveway. I was on the couch with Jason watching Guardians of the Galaxy. He laughed at the raccoon's antics. I was waiting. She stepped out, saw the bags, froze. Then she knocked. Not angry, not upset, just puzzled. I opened the door, calm and steady. She stared at me. "Nathan, what's going on?" "I gathered your things," I said, lowering the box at her feet. "Isn't this what you were after? A little freedom?" She moved a step closer. I stayed still. In silence, she reached into her handbag, retrieved her key, and tried it in the front door. Nothing happened. "You changed the locks?" "I did." "Why?" "Because you slept with Brandon. Room 611, Omni Hotel." The color drained from her cheeks. Her lips parted, closed, then opened again like words had forgotten how to form. "You followed me?" "Number I hired someone. Richard, private investigator. He gave me the full story. Photos, timestamps, receipts." Tears began to form in her eyes. "Nathan, wait, I can explain." I held up a hand. "Don't. You already have, just by not denying it." Turning, I walked toward the house. "It was only once. It didn't mean anything. I made a mistake." I stopped. "A mistake is spilling coffee. This question mark, this was intentional. You arranged it." "I never wanted to hurt you." "No, you never thought about me at all." I stepped inside, shut the door, locked it, and stood still as her sobs filtered through the wood like the voice of someone I no longer knew. Inside, Jason was curled up on the couch watching a movie. He looked up as I sat beside him. "Your mom left," I told him, wrapping my arm around his shoulder. "Just for a bit. But we're going to be okay." And for the first time in a long while, I meant it. Silence in marriage can be many things: comfort, apathy, resentment. But that night, after closing the door on her, it felt earned. Not just the absence of noise, but a triumph. A quiet forged through survival. We ordered Chinese takeout. He picked sweet and sour chicken. I got kung pao. We ate together on the couch, just the two of us. For the first time in weeks, he laughed, really laughed, the burden on his small shoulders already easing. I knew it wouldn't be easy for him. But we'd face it with truth, not illusion. And that mattered more than clinging to the shell of a broken family. He asked if she'd be coming back. "She'll always be your mom," I told him, "but she won't be living here anymore." He nodded slowly, absorbing it. 12 years old, but far too aware. "I'm glad you're not pretending like everything's fine," he said. That nearly shattered me. He got it. At his age, he already understood what so many never do. Pretending is poison. The truth, even when it stings, is what heals. Later that night, I got the call I knew was coming. Caroline's father, Robert Grayson, semi-retired accountant, golf on Sundays, fond of morals he never expected his daughter to follow. "What the hell are you doing, Nathan? You humiliated her." I let him rant. Then I responded. "She humiliated herself. I just stopped hiding it. She's crying in our guest room. She should have cried before checking into that hotel. It was a mistake." "No, it was a plan, a choice." "You're being cruel. Number, I'm giving her exactly what she asked for. Freedom." He hung up on me. Monday, I sat down with my lawyer, Alicia Barron. Sharp as a blade, late 40s, no nonsense. She looked through the investigator's dossier, then met my eyes. "Want full custody?" she asked. "It's yours. Keep the house? Easy. Alimony? Highly unlikely. We'll protect your finances." "And the affair?" "In this state, it still matters. She handed us everything we need." It felt strange, seeing betrayal turned into leverage, images of her and him now part of a case file. But I didn't flinch. I wasn't out to destroy her. I just wouldn't protect her anymore. By Wednesday, Caroline had tried every approach. Messages, apologies, begging. Then came the guilt. "What about Jason? You're tearing us apart. We had 17 good years." "No," I told her. "We had 11, then 6 years of silence. And the last one, you lit the match." Thursday, she came to the door. I didn't answer. She waited on the porch, 10 minutes, hands in her lap, a rehearsed smile. Jason came home from school. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, reaching for him. He hugged her briefly, but looked toward me. He didn't want to go with her. I didn't make him. "Maybe next time, Mom," he said, stepping around her and inside. She didn't move. Friday, her attorney reached out to mine. By Monday, the divorce was in motion. I got full custody. She got visitation on alternating weekends. She kept her car, a small savings. I kept the rest, including the truth. 2 weeks later, she moved in with her sister. 2-bedroom unit on the east side of Raleigh. She tried to recreate our old home. Same paint, familiar photo arrangements, but imitations fall flat when the foundation is betrayal. She called often, too much. "I miss him. I miss what we had. Can't we at least talk as friends?" "No," I told her. "Friends don't lie about affairs. Friends don't come home drenched in someone else's scent and pretend everything's normal." I didn't hate her, but the trust was gone, and without that, we were nothing but two people tied by legal documents. Jason adjusted quicker than I expected. He chose a new color for his room. Steel Thunder, he called it. Made friends fast, laughed more, slept better. No longer trapped in a house where silence meant tension. He could finally exhale. That freedom was worth the cost. Months passed. One night she called after he'd gone to bed. "I know you'll never forgive me," she said, "but I hope you still think about the good years." "I remember everything," I said, "but memories don't restore trust." "I never intended to fall for Brandon." "I didn't fall for Brandon either," I replied. She hesitated. "What do you mean?" "I fell for peace and I'm not giving it up." The months continued. The locks stayed changed. The home remained quiet. Then, on Jason's 13th birthday, she appeared again. She stood on the porch with a gift. Silver paper, ribbon tied just so. Her lipstick was darker than usual. Her perfume all too familiar. She knocked the way she always had. 3 light taps, a pause. I dried my hands and opened the door. We locked eyes. She seemed smaller. Not in stature, but in spirit. Like her own choices had eroded her. "Hi," she said softly. "Hey, is Jason home? I brought a gift." "He's at a sleepover. You missed him." She glanced at the box. "I should have called." "Yeah," I said. "You should have." She stood there, not moving, hoping for an invitation inside. I didn't offer one. Behind me, the house glowed with warmth and honesty. Letting her in would drag the past back in with her, like muddy shoes on clean carpet. "Can I come in? Just for a minute?" she asked, voice cracking. "I think it's best we talk out here." She blinked once, then again. Her grip tightened around the gift in her hands. The silence between us stretched, disturbed only by the faint hum of bicycle tires rolling past and a far-off dog barking somewhere down the street. "You look good," she said in a hushed tone. "The house feels peaceful." "It is," I replied. "We are." She lowered her gaze, her voice barely audible. "I still think about what we had, about us." I watched her face carefully. "What we had," I said, "was me trying to be enough for someone who was always reaching for something else." Her eyes widened. "That's not fair," she whispered. "You're right," I said calmly. "Just like it wasn't fair to ask me to sign off on your betrayal like it was some chore you needed to check off." Tears began to swell in her eyes. "I was confused, Nathan. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I never meant to hurt you." "But you did," I said. Again and again. "You hurt me when you asked for permission, when you went ahead anyway, when you lied, and worst of all, when you came back into our lives as if nothing had changed, smiling at our son, sleeping in my bed." Tears slipped down her cheeks in silence. "I miss you," she breathed. I looked at her, emptied out, already burned to ash. "No, Caroline. You miss the stability, the routine, the man who kept the heat on and brewed your coffee every morning. You didn't love me. If you had, you wouldn't have needed someone else to feel alive." She shook her head. "I messed up." I cut in, voice sharp. "Number you chose. A mistake is a misstep. A choice is a conscious move." She broke down completely then. The kind of tears that used to wreck me, but I'd already been torn apart, and I'd healed since. "Do you know what hurt the most?" I asked. She looked up at me. "It wasn't just me you betrayed. It was us. You took time from Jason. You shattered trust from the man who's known you since we were kids. You destroyed everything we built. For a few nights with someone who meant nothing." "I didn't think it would matter," she choked. "And that thought," I said quietly, "cost you everything." Her hand reached toward me, trembling. I stepped away. "Nathan, please, just give me one more chance. I'll do anything. Therapy, full transparency. I'll prove it." "No," I said, firm and steady. "I won't teach my son that love means accepting betrayal like it's normal." There was a long pause. Then she asked, barely audible, "So you won't forgive me?" "I already have," I told her. "But forgiveness doesn't mean reopening a door you slammed shut." She nodded slowly and held out the gift. "For him? I'll give it to him." She turned and stepped off the porch. Her heels clicked against the pavement like punctuation marks at the end of a story. I watched her walk away, not as the woman I once adored, but as the stranger she'd chosen to become. She drove off without glancing back. I didn't follow. Inside, I set the wrapped present on the kitchen counter. A drone. Jason had mentioned wanting one. I didn't unwrap it, didn't throw it away either. That choice belonged to him. When Jason got home, I handed it to him. "Your mom dropped this off." He studied the shiny silver wrapping, then looked at me. "Do I have to call her?" "No," I said gently. "Only if you want to." He nodded, placed it on the table, and grabbed a comic before stretching out on the couch. A minute passed. "I like it better here," he said. I sat next to him. "So do I." The weeks that followed felt like new skin, fresh, tender, but healing. I picked up extra work, walked Jason home from school, went to his games, cooked real meals, built shelves, slept more soundly, smiled easier, stopped replaying scenes I could never rewrite. One night, standing under a blanket of stars, I thought about everything she took and all she unknowingly left behind. Stillness, insight, the undeniable truth that I'd always been enough. 6 months passed. No slamming doors, no secrets, no walking on eggshells. Just pancake Saturdays, slow Sundays at the ball field, and peaceful weeknights full of stories and superhero debates. Caroline still called from time to time, mostly about Jason, but I knew the subtext. She was pressing her face to broken glass, hoping I'd crack the window open. Every call ended the same way: tears, regrets, memories. But regret is like smoke. It stings, but it doesn't rebuild what's burned. Eventually, I sold our old house. Too many ghosts in the drywall, Too many echoes on the stairs. Jason and I moved into a cozy craftsman with a red porch swing and a backyard just big enough for the golden retriever he kept asking for. His room glowed in blue stars. Mine stayed plain, white, clean, uncomplicated, like our new life. Just the two of us. And he thrived. His grades rose, his laughter returned. He started flipping pancakes every other Saturday. "Your turn, Dad," he'd beam. I used to think I needed a partner to feel complete. But what I really needed was peace. And him. One Friday night after leftover pizza and a movie, he looked at me. "Do you think you'll date again?" I laughed. "Trying to get rid of me already?" He grinned. "Number just wondering." I looked at him carefully. I think I had to remember who I was on my own before I could ask someone else to be part of that. He nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense." It did. For the first time in years, the truth didn't hurt to say. At one of Jason's games, I met Lauren. She was divorced too. Her son Drew played on Jason's team. She laughed without effort, never pried. Took her coffee black. We talked. On bleachers in the parking lot, later over coffee while the boys practiced. She never asked about Caroline. Maybe that's why I eventually told her. A little. She listened. No pity, no judgment. "You sound like someone who came back stronger," she said once. It stayed with me, because I believed it. Then, on a chilly February night, Caroline showed up again. No warning. She looked different. Not worse, just dimmed. "Can we talk?" she asked from the porch. I stepped outside, didn't invite her in. "I saw you at the game," she said. "With her." "Lauren," I replied. "She seems kind." "She is." A pause. "So, you're with someone?" I didn't answer. That question wasn't hers to ask anymore. "You look lighter," she said. I said nothing. "Are you happy?" she asked. "I'm at peace," I said. "That's not the same." "No," I replied, "it's better." She cried again. The same tears I'd seen before. Once they shattered me. Now they barely stirred anything. "I destroyed everything," she said softly. "Yes," I answered. "Would you ever take me back?" "No." She nodded. This time, no begging. "Do you hate me?" she asked. "I don't." "Then why not give us another try?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Because I spent 17 years holding you steady while you chased waves, and I'm done drowning." She sobbed, unguarded. I didn't see how broken I was until it was too late. "I did," I said. "I saw it all happening. But you didn't, because deep down you never thought I'd leave." She slipped her hand into her coat and pulled out a small envelope. "This is for Jason," she murmured. "You don't need to look inside. Just make sure he gets it." I took it silently, nodded, and stepped away, gently closing the door behind me. Later that evening, Jason sat at the table alone, fingers carefully tearing open the envelope. He read what she wrote, then read it again, slower this time. Afterward, he sat at the kitchen table, his voice a fragile thread. "She's still trying," he said, "and I'm so thankful I'm here now." I wrapped him in a hug. I held him tighter than usual, knowing that one day life would teach him hard lessons of its own. And when that day came, I hoped this moment would stay with him, this image of healing. That true resilience doesn't come from walking away unscarred, but from learning how to stitch yourself back together. 3 weeks later, I asked Lauren to dinner. No agendas, no pretending to be anything other than who we were, just two people moving ahead, carefully, truthfully. She laughed at my cheesy dad jokes. I asked about the moments that made her who she is, the books she never forgot. When the check came, she reached for it, but I gently stopped her. "This one's mine," I said, smiling. She raised a playful brow. "Sure about that?" "I know exactly where I want to place my heart. There are nights when I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, drifting back to the life I once had. The dreams we planned, the vows exchanged under warm lights, our first dance in each other's arms. The baby names we picked before we were ready. The snapshots that tried to freeze time. All the effort I poured into becoming the man she envisioned, instead of embracing the man I truly was. Then I think of the life I've built now. The peace of mornings that don't require performance. The bond between father and son, unspoken yet deeply rooted. The quiet relief of walking through the day without fear of missteps. The happiness that comes from rebuilding yourself. Not in spite, but in hope. The gentle realization that I was always enough, even when I couldn't see it. And I smile. Because Caroline left, chasing something she thought she needed in someone else's arms. But in the space she left behind, I uncovered something far more meaningful. I found myself right where she walked away from, and this time I held on tightly. I didn't let go. This is where our story ends. Feel free to leave your reflections below. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story spoke to you, there are others waiting to be told. Until next time, friend.